Hello, good evening, and welcome to UPfront. Now, as the minority in Parliament raises its boots to begin a nationwide tour to push for a reduction in fuel prices, Energy Minister John Peter Amewu maintains the government of the Republic of Ghana has managed the situation far better than the John Mahama-led administration. This has generated a storm with back and forth between the two main political parties in the country. Today, we will stay away from these two political parties and speak to the people that matter. The people that do the business, ask a simple question. After fuel price hikes and also depreciation of the cedi, what's the cost of doing business in Ghana? I'll tell you my guest after this break. You welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. And today, we are looking at the politicians and speaking to the people that matter when it comes to businesses in the Republic of Ghana. What is important to us today is, what's the cost of doing business in Ghana? Is it any better? Is the environment any improved? We want to know, following the recent hike in fuel price and also the recent decision or depreciation of the cedi. And much of the things that have followed afterwards. And my guest today is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Is in the very person of Dr. Joseph Obin. Doc, you're welcome to UPfront.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you are doing well today.
Very well.
The question is important because even today, the Ministry of Energy did a press conference, gave out some details suggesting that, hold on, this government has done a lot of good to businesses and also to the ordinary people. In fact, one of the suggestions that the minister is making clearly is that for those of you in businesses, you would have paid more, not only for residential when it comes to electricity, but also for fuel. He is suggesting that you would have paid up to 5.5 per litre if indeed government had not removed a plethora of taxes under the emblem of the Energy Sector Levies Act and also reduced some of these taxes. From where you sit, does this reflect the reality on the ground?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. These days, I don't even know the prices of fuel. I just put my car there and fill. Because this problem is becoming perennial, and we have to find a very tangible solution to this. And if the minister is saying that he has done something to minimize the impact, of course, they know the figures, and we can't begrudge them. But at the end of the day, someone might be tempted to say that, has there been an increase? I think that is what
yes, there has been some 3.5% or so.
I'm not an expert in this area of petroleum, but once I'm a citizen, and then it comes also to add up to cost of doing business. I will advise that we look into the pricing formula again. You are asking me how this thing is affecting business.
Yeah.
You can also recall that some people in the oil business, the fuel, those importers, the traders in there are making a huge profit even at this time. You know, business is varying.
Okay.
Even when we come to the depreciation of the cedi, as we're talking about, other people will also, it's a boom for other people. What I would say to the petroleum increment is that we look again, have a deep look into the pricing formula, because I believe that there's a big gap where probably government and then the players in there are having. Because I know it's a big area where people are making a whole lot of profit.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
But, for example, businesses that thrive on transportation, having to transport the goods across the country and all of that, would they necessarily be compelled to increase prices because of the 3.5 or so percent? I mean, people fear that it's now over 5 cedi. But in reality, it's just 3.5%.
Yeah, they have their pricing formula, and as they look into their operations, and then they factor this increment, whether negligible or big for them, they will decide what to do.
I see. Now, let me bring you home, because this is just one of the factors. Exactly. There's another one that you sure would know about, recent cedi depreciation and all of the things that are affecting that. First, I'm asking a general question on how are businesses taking on these shocks? How are businesses coping?
Yeah, it differs from one's operation.
Okay.
And in general terms, sometimes if you do not have the scientific basis to lump every business together, then you are also not being fair. But if you are talking about the depreciation of the cedi, the petroleum increment and all that, naturally, nobody will have to even tell you that it's going to add up the cost of doing business.
I see.
And that's where we have to sit up and look into what we can do to manage this situation, that it will not go so much into destroying businesses.
Okay, but this has been, I mean, it's been turbulent since May of this year, to be clear. How many months do you need for a business setup to say, well, now we are feeling the pinch way too much? Or how many weeks do you need for that to happen?
Even a month.
A month?
Is something.
Oh, I see.
For instance, especially if you are owing in US dollars, and most of businesses are measured in dollar.
I see.
And so maybe you've imported goods way back 4 months. At that time, you didn't pay. You opened an LC, which will mature 120 days. That's where you see how people are suffering and why people even say that business are collapsing. Because for the bigger corporate entities and even for the medium scale businesses, where people will be talking about maybe an LC of $1 million or $500,000, then look at the gap. If 4 months back it was 4.5, and now the maturity day is on, because you would have paid maybe 45 million for a 4 month back if you were paying cash. Now he has to pay how much? You know, the difference
almost
is
5 cedi in this case.
And so it's a huge leap for such a company that can actually bring a near collapse.
So the claim that businesses are collapsing is true?
Yeah, it could be true to some extent. Then you see, that's why I've said that businesses, even regarding the depreciation of the cedi, some businesses are very home brewed companies that they do not even depend on the exchange. If you look, and then we have others that's the manufacturing and the importers who are then seriously affected. So in this case, I will just come, because even exporters will say that they are having a boom because of the exchange when it is the value of the cedi depreciate. That's why.
But are we a net exporter or we are a net importer country? Well,
but there are some people in the export business. And they are quite a significant of them. But when I talk about our sector, then I'll say that this is a very serious problem in that when cost of doing business increases to a level that maybe our local retailers, because we are wholesalers, when we bring these goods, we sell to our local retailers. If they are able to go out, not sourcing from us, but go to other West African countries to source. You hear that people go to Togo, they go to Benin, they go to Nigeria, and they change huge sums of monies to go and buy from this, not buying from the manufactured goods from them. They are going to buy also imported products that has been.
So to be fair, they're not even promoting the Togolese or any neighboring country's economy. We are all still dependent on our external institution.
Exactly. So if we have an imported, we are importers, as the Nigerians are importers, Togolese are importers, Beninese are importers, and then our people will go and buy another imported goods from them. Then you then appreciate what I'm talking about.
I get you.
Exactly.
Now, let me get this part to clarify. So, if you had an appeal to make to government, exactly what would you tell government when it comes to these fuel price increments?
Yeah, and that's what I've already told you. They have to go back, the drawing board, look at the taxes, look at the gap between the prices as is made for even the traders, the operators in it enjoying. If it is too huge, they should. But if government have no control of that, it means that government have to invest in importation of the oil and then find a way to mitigate that gap that I'm talking about.
The complaint here is that, to all intents and purposes, government can do something, but government says it has done enough. Government says what is done so far is remove excise duty on this fuel product. Special petroleum tax was 17.5% on 2 different occasions. The review happened. It brought it down to 13% now. Price stabilization levy also reduced. So government is saying to you that we've done what is humanly possible. Indeed, government is even saying that the stabilization levy, which could have been used to cushion many Ghanaians in this space, is already depleted. There isn't a PESWA in there for us to pursue on this protection of local business and other things that the fuel price hikes may affect in this case.
There's something fundamentally wrong in the pricing. They have to go. I say there's a gap. People are reaping from there. Even government is depending so much on taxes there. And that's what I can say. We should go to the formula again, fund a means, and then government should find a way to also procure huge sums of this that will suppress this gap that I'm talking about.
Government is also suggesting that the taxes that we are talking about, it was over 40%. Yes, it agrees. But now it's brought it down to less than 26%. That's like almost half of the taxes gone.
Then we have to appreciate what government is saying, because government also needs something to work on. Then we should know that it's a situation that has brought this far. Because government cannot also do away, because petroleum, because we are talking, as I'm sitting here, I'm come to talk about diversifying the tax system. Yeah. And so I wouldn't say that the one that is so easy for everybody to be paying, because the taxes that we are paying is too much. So if there's a way that everybody can pay, this is the only source that everybody is captured into the net. This is the only source. I don't think we have to push government if it says that if reached a certain level. And here I'm not talking for government.
Even if under these circumstances people are still complaining, because it looks like a double hit, double jeopardy of a sort, from fuel through to cedi depreciation, and the complaint from businesses, including your grouping, is that when you take up these shocks, it makes us unstable. And instability in that end is very difficult for us to cope with. The ordinary person is also complaining because they would have to feed and also purchase things for businesses to run. Is it a sign that our economy is really not on any good footing?
Yeah, that's why maybe we are thinking about diversification, how to increase productivity. And government's own policy of the 1D, 1F is geared towards increasing productivity. Then you have to fast track on that. Find a means to do this, because the onus lies on them and also of us also to come together, because it's a PPP arrangement that we find a way to enhance on productivity. That's the thing, because you are not also telling government to waive all the taxes, because I'm concerned about that area, because as I'm sitting here, you'll be asking me about taxes.
Yes,
and then
I'll be going that point
net.
right away because.
But before we get there,
okay, please.
I had wanted to talk about the depreciation of the cedi for a while. I want, much as government is trying to find a solution to this, I will want to also caution, because of the kind of monies that we are losing, that we should be able to manage our speculation levels, because people are actually losing. And then urge government also to be able to control the trade of money to the extent that this situation will be kept to the lowest minimum. Otherwise, we all fade out.
But government says it's temporary. It's not something that's going to last for a very long time.
No, you don't just have to throw it away. Once it keeps on happening, it means that there's something fundamentally wrong somewhere. And that's why I will also caution government that in this week to find solution to this situation, they should not do any panic regulations and then controls that will suppress the trade of money. Because when that happens, it will also bring another set of problems that won't augur well for us.
And that's interesting to note, but I'll come to you on the point that we hinted we will go to. Now, there's a criteria for mostly determining whether businesses like yours are doing well in a state, whether the ease of doing business is also on the rank. In fact, the World Bank does the ease of doing business, what they call a ranking on its own. It looks at several other things that ought to be done by businesses, but you talked about taxes on several occasions. Now, I remember some time ago, this is 2015, 2014, and even 2016, the AGI had cause to say that there were killer taxes. Some of these taxes were just choking businesses to death and making it difficult for them to survive. Are there still killer taxes today?
Yeah, because taxes are structured in a manner that just a few of us are paying. And we need to widen the tax net.
Yeah, but that's something that we said for a very consistent long time.
So what are we waiting? We have the technocrats there.
Yeah.
We have even suggested that the tax system should be so simplified. Because a tax that is not affordable and thereby not compliant with, is no tax.
Okay, now let me take you one by one. Which of the taxes today are the killer taxes?
Duty rates.
Duty.
And the accumulated levies at the port.
Okay, so we start from duty.
Yeah.
What exactly is the problem with duties today?
Duties, the latter part of 2016, they brought something we call CET. The CET is Common External Tariffs. That came to increase the duties because they wanted parity in the sub-region.
Yeah.
And so they brought those that is sometimes 10% was doubled to 20%. Some were 15% to 20%. They went to 35%. When that happens, it means that your import capital is going to be slapped with 20%. Then again, the 17.5% VAT is slapped. Cumulatively, it comes to 40%. And then other levies and taxes, that numbers up to about 19. And total of it is about 12%. So 52% of your import capital means that when you send 100,000 for example, $1,000 to go and buy something, you are coming to cough out $52,000 to pay for duty. And
really?
Telling you
that's the current arrangement there?
That's how it is. And then those who are paying 35% are cumulatively also going to pay close to about 65%. It's about the highest in the world.
I don't understand this. So who thought about this and decided to think that this is the best way to run businesses or to run a country's port system?
Yeah, because we have our tax system and this ECOWAS thing came. So you look within yourself, because if ECOWAS brings something and your people cannot take it, because for instance, the other variables of taxes differ from these sub-regional groupings. Whilst we were paying 17.5%, of VAT, which was not even refundable, Nigeria was paying 5%. So he has pushed you to bring up the duty, and then his VAT, VAT is gone down. And so he has urged you out. So if the technocrats couldn't read through this and then pass it wholly to the citizenry, that's not fair. There's no fairness here.
Okay, so why then were you consulted before we put these taxes in place?
The CET, we talked, we protested.
Yes, I got that, but did the consultation finally agree that we needed to do this?
The then government passed it on after protestations and all that. And then it carried on to the present government, and we raised it.
But government has always raised questions about nuisance taxes, and they removed these nuisance taxes. So how come it skipped the wonderful brains in this government's mind that they ought to remove this one too?
So when you get them seated here, then you can ask them.
I get you. I get your point. Yes.
So, and we are so distressed at this time, especially when the exchange have gone up. Don't also
so the problem has been compounded by the exchange rate in this case?
Yes, it has compounded by the exchange rate. And mind you, we are so much in distress. And that's why...
Exactly what kind of distress are you talking about?
Yes, I've told you, when we are coming to pay duty, we use the dollar as the bench. They use dollar to benchmark the values. And so, as and when it goes up, your duty rates also go up. Planning becomes difficult. When the market is so choked with this influx of foreigners, and then there's no space for you to even increase them. Because naturally, when these things go up, you have to increase it to your cost, and then add it to your pricing. And if you find it difficult to do that, it means that you look on whilst your capital is spirited away. And this is the time that they also want to even introduce the CTN. And I'll take this opportunity on behalf of the business community, and we had several meetings even today that this CTN should not come at this time that we are so much in distress.
So these notes, forgive me, what's the full name of it?
Container tracking note.
The container tracking notes.
Yeah.
Exactly what was it supposed to be?
Elsewhere, when the system came, they used it for security purposes. Here, the consultant who is bringing it is saying that they are using it for evaluation and other purposes. And
so, sorry, first, explain to us what this container tracking system is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's the same information that we give to our bill of lading. Now, the system that we operate now is the pre-arrival system. So that before your container comes, you would have provided the same information, and we do provide. Now, they say that they want to get the information from our shipper, not from ourselves, apparently for trust. That maybe
you don't trust that you've been declaring the right information.
But what they forget is that it's our suppliers that also give us this information to convey to them. So what difference are they going to even get? But then the frustration in here is that you are going to get clearance before your goods are shipped. And then if any
clearance from the people running the CTN.
So we are talking about trade facilitation.
So the people running the CTN would contact the people who sent the goods to you.
Exactly.
And get information from them.
It's a website portal. Okay. So they will have to register and then key in the information. And then when the system rejects it, you have to feed again. So we asked questions to it, and sometimes maybe about 5 times. It means that maybe a week. Then you have to pay for storage and all that. Another additional layer of
waiting the clearance.
Exactly. So how do you have to put something that will suggest that somebody who have gone to Dubai and then found something to buy, then find it difficult to even ship it before he comes? This is going to impede on business.
Okay, so is this part of the paperless system?
this is a new one that they are adding
system was supposed to clear things up, make it easier and smoother for you to go through the process.
That one is here. Now they say that they want a system that will do the validation at source. What's validation? Because we used to have pre-shipment and then those things are all prescribed.
We will delve deeper, Doc, into this CTN, the container tracking notes system very well.
We are urging the government to, because I look at this situation, businesses are so distressed and not to add up another frustration.
I'll come back to that, but before we actually end of that, let's take a break. We'll come back to appreciate what the CTN is and how it's affecting business in a much more detailed form on Upfront today. You welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Aqua. Today, we've taken the entire economist conversation from the NPP and the NDC and taken it to the doorstep of the people who run businesses in this country. Today, the Ghanaian Union of Traders Association is our guest. How is the economy going for them? How are they coping with the hikes in both fuel and also the depreciation of the cedi? Actually, we are asking, what's the cost of doing business in Ghana? And how are businesses faring with these twin problems that they happen to be facing immediately? Now, Dr. Joseph Abin is my guest. Much of what we've been discussing so far has been 1, fuel, 2, depreciation, and 3, the real problems they face beyond this, which is actually compounding their current state. He says it's frustrating and actually distressing at this point in time. I'll be finding out from him what the big deal with the container tracking notes really is. They are still engaging on it, as I understand it to be. But you believe that it's not only delaying your clearance and making you have to look for more place of storage and all of that, but it's actually making it difficult for you to do business in this country.
Exactly. And it's not even bringing fairness, because as the program itself is not universal.
I don't understand that.
It's not universal because now the CTN is not going to be applied on cars.
Oh, okay. That's
so how do you bring a system
so it's only that is like not, other goods?
That is not universal. Then we have, we also asked whether our neighboring countries, the West African country, is going to also be on that CTN program. And then they say it's not for the cargo through routes and all that. Then we said that how are we going to compete with this, our neighboring countries who day in and out bring goods to compete and then even edging us out?
Beyond the delays, beyond the quest to look for money, to look for storage space and all of that, do you pay anything for the CTN and this engagement?
Government said is absorbing the fee for the consultant here.
Yeah.
But then we pay so much.
How much
upfront
do you pay?
To the agents. You know, I'll be in Ghana and then I'll buy and then I'll hire an agent to ship my goods.
Yeah.
And then uploading this information and doing all these things cost me $200, $300. The evidence that we've gathered so much, the highest one we've seen is $550.
Oh,
and
okay.
We are not prepared to add any single layer of cost to doing business.
Because already the situation is strange.
Exactly. And then,
but what does government get out of this?
Well, government want to enhance on revenue collection.
And then because government the fear is that you've been under-declaring.
Exactly. And government is so very optimistic that if maybe we do this system, then we've also questioned government that any time they are bringing any form of experiment in such systems, they make monster out of the previous one. And we've been doing this for so many years.
Okay.
And so this time, because we won't sit down and then anything will come, especially when it will frustrate us, even upfront, where you are charging, then you need clearance before your goods come in. It's going to frustrate. So we said that if it should be done, then it should be done well.
So it's not about the cost, it's about how frustrated you are.
A frustrating cost involved, the cost aspect. The government said that it's going to absorb.
Yeah, but it absorbs only one side.
They said they are going to absorb this side, and then when we gave evidence to suggest that we are paying even more because here is $100, and there is 200 to 500 according to the evidence that we've gathered. They say they are going to absorb that cost. I say when you make multiplication, because we are talking about close to 500,000 containers that come every year. Multiplied by say $200 is 100 million. Then we say, how are you going to sustain it? Because it will come back to us. Now you say you take it. When we get into it, then it reverts back to us.
Okay, I'll take a couple of messages on Facebook, where we are actually live. With Jamal Adams, for example, says, when the current government got their hammer, the only problem now they see is nail. And Dawuda Ibrahim, lawyer, says, in fact, Dr. Baumia, he has to raise up his hands. Let the Ghanaian know they are the most incompetent people to manage this economy. And Idi Ma says, seriously sad. NPP, Jamal Adam with this one says, super competent government, and that's in quotes of a sort. Also send us your thoughts with our Facebook Live, which is also live on Facebook as we speak, and go to the JoyNews page and share your thoughts on that too. Now, the question you are raising suggests that all of this is going to compound the cost of doing business.
Yeah, and then we
reduce your profits and make it difficult for you to run.
Exactly.
But government should have very brilliant people who understand this, don't they?
Oh, we're talking to government. As I'm speaking with you, I know some measures that even government want to undertake in terms of the duty reductions and all that, and I cannot even preempt it.
Okay.
And so I know government is making measures and all that, but we're saying that at this time, we don't need that system
to
compound on the problems that we are having. Let me tell you, government, we sympathize with government for bringing very good innovations, very ambitious programs and all that. And his government's a good intention to do this. And that's why we even sympathize with government in this area so that they can raise revenue. But what we are saying is that even at this present dispensation that we are in now, all the targets that have been given to captains of all this time have been achieved. Sometimes it's just the negligible differences
the
that
targets
they do
given
have.
To which institution?
Customs.
Also,
to the Ghana Revenue Authority and all that. So it's not that we are we are in crisis in this
in terms of revenue
collection, but probably because of the programs that government is putting in place, that we have to shore up the revenue collection. It's understood. But that's why we are also telling government that there are other ways to look. Let me tell you, you know that the quantum of import that we do, about 1/3 is exempted from paying the duties that we are crying.
But I thought government said it has reduced it.
It hasn't been reduced.
Really?
The figures will show. You are a journalist, go and probe the figures.
Yes.
And we are saying that there should be a definite policy on tax exemption. Tax shouldn't be lumped on one sector. It will be too much for them to carry. And that's what we are saying. We have to fine-tune systems that will embrace so many people, especially from the informal sector, that are not captured to pay. And simplify systems. The tax stamp for the shops at outlets and all that, and making sure that you employ people to go there and take innovative ways where they can even pay this. Because if you make their money very negligible for payment, they will pay, because everybody will want to pay something for government to owe the country also. But if it is so atrocious, then people start cutting edges and run away. So we want them to, because the same people that have been identified on their computers to be paying is the same people that they load this thing, and they represent about 10%.
So you're saying that contrary to the claim that government is on a massive drive to cut down massively the tax exemptions, is actually not changed?
No, the records, when we finish, go and get the figures for containers. I'm talking about tens of thousands of containers that are not paying taxes.
And who owns these containers?
No, the tax exemption regime has specified people who have been paying. But those areas, the people who are even enjoying this are the bigger sharks. Okay. Maybe the mining companies and all that. We can't be doing this. And how much is coming from these areas? Nothing to show. I see. So you give exemption and then the results is not showing, and then you give the this is never done. So we should remove.
So what should they do right now when it comes to tax exemptions?
They should make a policy that will scrutinize the proper due diligence, because there's it's also being subjected to abuse.
The tax exemption regime.
Because if you create a room, people will go in, and then the vulnerable ones keep on paying. This is not fair. So if you have about a third, that is up, let's capture them so that it will show up the distance.
So to be fair, a third also would mean that the pressure on the other 2/3 will be lessened.
Exactly. That's all that I'm saying, sir.
Okay, that's interesting to know. But, I mean, have you made this proposal to government in any way? Especially, have you reminded them, because they said this is what they wanted to do?
We keep on giving a pinch to any government. That's what
and they
we do as trade union. No, I wouldn't say they ignore, but I don't know the problem why it persists. So why don't you look into it and see that this is worrying us, this is bringing us down? And then we lump all these things on one sect of people, and then also make them look that they are the devils of state. We are not the devils of state.
Yeah, I get your point, because all of this is supposed to be people contributing in smaller volumes so that we can all put it together.
Exactly.
Anyway, but the understanding people get from you guys is that you love excess profit because you are making a lot of money in the process. Is your business that profitable?
It used to be.
It used to be?
Now we are not getting it any longer.
Really?
Why is it that always we are saying that foreigners are taking it all? They are taking it all from all aspects. Let's look, even this depreciation that we're talking about, let's look at the productive sectors of the economy. If you talk about I've forgotten, but let me tell you, if you talk about the service industry, the extractive industry, it's all being dominated by the foreigners.
Oh, I see.
The service industry is the banking. And now that most of our banks have folded up, about 70% are foreign.
I see.
And then we have the communication giants, the huge money-making industry, all dominated by foreigners. And they have 100% right of repatriation. We have the extractive industry being the gold, and then the oil and all that.
Again, Ghana has only some small shares in there.
What is our quota there? And then I was saying that the growth of the economy is tilted. Whenever we say that we have gotten this growth and all that, it's tilted towards this sector.
Yes, the extractive sector.
And so what is left for you? We are not getting there. When you come to the retail sector, they have come and taken it all. Now
are you not exaggerating this?
Have you gone to the market lately?
Yes.
Do you find them or you do not find them?
I find some of them, but I don't think that they have overpopulated these. For example, if I go to Makola, I still see the same old women.
We are talking about the shop to shops. We are not talking about the people selling on the street. They of course are number this one. But when you are in business and you can't even secure a store because a foreigner is lined up collecting it, and even giving higher amount for rent, then you appreciate what I'm saying.
So you are not. So you are not seen as being xenophobic and needlessly pushing out people, especially when you have ECOWAS protocols and other things that allows you to do so.
Not at all. Rather, we have been very civil. Other countries, when you treated them, you know the results. We have been so civil in advance. We have been going to the trade ministry. We've gone to GIPC, and then we say that this is what the law says and monitor and enforce. And this is what we have been saying all this time. We haven't maimed anybody. We haven't killed anybody. We haven't set fire on people's store. Have you ever recounted that in your journalism?
Not at all.
Because we are being civil. And we have been so civil. Does that mean we have to let it go like that? And this is what is happening. Everything is because the framers of the law knew why they were doing that. Because they have
given a space for local people.
Because the mainstream business, such as the one that we are doing, most of us do not have the capacity even to do it. So they did, even that, they gave a window of opportunity for foreigners to do.
With a certain amount of money.
With a certain amount. So why can't they tell them that we are not telling you just to not to come there, but respect the investment laws and do your business peacefully, so that it will limit them at least.
I swear, but you were talking about taxes. I mean, you talk about city and currently, you said that at the ports, you are still being bombarded with a lot of taxes. You talked about the CET. Beyond that, is there any other regime, specifically when it comes to taxes, that's making businesses suffer more?
Yeah, for us, this is what we would say, because after that, we will also pay our corporate income taxes and all that. That everybody should do. And then that one is what I'm also saying, that we should make conscious effort that we widen the net to capture so many people, because the people that are captured is woefully inadequate for enhancement of revenue. And sometimes I sympathize with government.
But they say those of you who are either the partially informal or predominantly informal or semi-formal places are the ones who are the problem in this case.
Problem in what?
The problem they are saying is that you are the ones who avoid income tax. You are the ones who avoid some of these taxes in many forms.
What is the scientific proof of this?
Oh, but they said so. You've heard it before.
I myself have said that the informal sector is a problem.
Okay,
and I've said that we should have a simplified system to capture everybody, to pay taxes. But it's not fair for just a segment of people, those that are seen in the computer, always to be seen. It means that we are not doing some things right.
So, for example, if you take a walk through Makola today, you can count a few people who pay income tax.
Yes, and that's why the technicals should come in here. We have asked them, give us your tax map. They should have a map. There should be a clear-cut tax map that will show that this area, this vicinity, this type of business, this group of people are paying, and then the graph will indicate.
Oh, I see.
And then after we've seen it, so if you haven't done the scientific thing, is it my duty to do this?
But it's not a duty of every Ghanaian to ensure that we pay income
tax.
That's
exactly why I'm also proposing this even before you.
I see.
That we have to create the tax maps and all that to clearly indicate who are paying, who are not paying. So what do we do to these people? These people are in the same vicinity, and this only 10% is paying. Why is the other 10%? Have we gotten that research? So if you come and tell me generally that we are not paying, how do I take you serious? We have to be able to do this, and it should be scientifically done, and we will support them, because we ourselves have gone to them that we want to help you. Come so that we do the numbering, because we know that when the taxes go up,
I see,
then we are going to have the respite. The few of us
lesser burden on
exactly. So we want to help government. In fact, we know that we have a great deal of challenge, and that we all have to come on board to help government in this space. Otherwise, any government will come and the same story will be written.
All right. So now, beyond this, what is the businessman in Ghana's major problem now, beyond what we talked about, the tax regime, the other element to do with the container tracking notes, and also what is preventing the Ghanaian businessman from prospering today?
Yeah, thank you for this question. We normally will have wanted to migrate, because
migrate where?
To manufacturing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you see, the kind of manufacturing, you see, sometimes when the professors, the economists, we import too much. So then you ask them, so if you don't import, what should we do? Because even the manufacturing sector itself, there's a thin line between the manufacturing and then the importation, because they import about 95% of their stuff.
I say,
yes.
From which country? China?
Yeah, wherever they get their raw material, wherever they get their components.
Is it that we don't have qualified people here to do the job?
No, we are talking about raw material, something that you cannot make it. Apparently, okay. That's why I support the president in his drive on the 1D, 1F. That will be the only semblance of manufacturing that is based on raw materials here that will enhance on actual productivity.
But that's struggling to take a leave anyway.
We should encourage it. We all, because now I know so many business people who have sent beautiful proposals.
Are you willing to go into manufacturing?
That's the dream. In fact,
that's a dream.
That was the before. Yeah. Let me tell you. You know the Xiaos and
this Sabat motors.
Because business, the traders, we follow our leaders. So initially that was the project, the progression.
But those ones that collapsed.
And now it went down, and then it took us back. Now you see the drive that the initiative that the president is coming. It is actually working in the minds of so many people. I know so many people who have started writing proposals, because it's very difficult even to import and do your legitimate business because of the taxes. So if you be supported here, then we are all trying to do same. And people are doing this. People have queued at the SM Bank and all that, trying to do this. And I know some of them. So this is our major challenge.
How easy is it to get credit in Ghana?
It's not about you getting credit in Ghana.
Is it the cost of it?
It's about cost.
I see.
Cost of capital is very high.
Still, with our prime rates at a low...
So what is the pull factor? You have the base rate,
yes,
and it's not coming. What are the controls in there?
That's the question the banks are supposed to actually put in.
Yes. And so that's why even Guta proposed that we want a parallel bank. If we're able to set up a parallel bank to compete with these people, the mainstream banks and all that, then it will be the pool. Or structures such as the SM Bank guarantees or no. That's the government providing the parallel capital as against the mainstream banks, then it will necessarily be the pool. So we should fund money where people might not necessarily go to the mainstream and then go and assess, like it's done in other countries. The SM Bank guarantees have been the example in other countries.
Okay, now I'm actually going to go through some of the indicators of the doing business so that you just indicate to me whether Ghana here is improved or not improved over the year or so. So, for example, starting a business, the procedure, the time, the cost, the paid up minimum capital to start a business in this country. Is it easier or more difficult today?
Oh, those things are very easy.
They are very easy, starting a business.
Those things are very
How about dealing with construction permits? The permit to put up a building, structure that you sell your stuff in and all of that. The procedures, time, and the cost to complete all formalities.
Those areas are difficult, you know.
They are very difficult,
you
right?
know.
Okay, that's interesting. So how about, I mean, not only building houses, but also some warehouses, not the ones you live in or sell stuff in, but warehouses and all that.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes people even, for the small scale, people even use their houses for warehouses. And then for those people, because we don't have an area demarcated for warehousing, that you say that maybe you queued and you never gotten the opportunity to get. So people have their own land, and building warehouses is very easy.
Now, getting electricity, how long does it take to get electricity? How reliable is electricity supply? And how is that aiding businesses in this country?
Yeah, electricity is a factor of business, especially if you have a showroom. Your clients come, they have to have that ambience, and then they can, you use. So even as a retailer, you will be using some of this. That's why when there was power outages, people were buying generators to power. So it's not that the traders do not also need energy to prepare. So energy is very essential. When it goes to the manufacturing, then the problem is even more.
Yeah, okay.
And all
It's interesting, but is there consistent supply of electricity now than before?
Nowadays it's better.
How about cost?
The cost, when we started, because what I do, what I can say for myself, is that I've studied something. Though in my setup, I've done solar on my panel, so I cannot say for my my business area. But for my house, the prepaid meter that I have, first the frequency with which that I buy, because normally I buy about 1,000, because normally I want to have a long term, not to be disturbed.
Okay.
And so, first it used to finish very early. These days, I've seen that
it's improved.
I've seen that it goes.
Paying taxes, and that's something we talked about. Payment time and total tax rates and all of that. How is that aiding businesses?
No, as far as it's not being spread in a way that it will get released for the targeted area, then I would say that is still a problem. Yeah, so we should have the spread. It's very important.
I appreciate your coming today. I appreciate your time with us today, thank you so much. My guest today on Upfront, looking at how real businesses are suffering under the current condition and how they are coping with the increase in fuel and also the depreciation of the cedi, is Dr. Joseph Obin with the Ghanaian Union of Traders Association. Thanks for watching today's episode of Upfront.